name is Tony, and I'm an alcoholic. I've been drinking for a while, but I guess it got really bad with this job I had. I used to work for this man who sold recreation paraphernalia. And he had a kid working for him who sold his products. But the kid got over his head, and he ended up owing the boss a lot of money. Well, I was in collections, and it was up to me to make sure all the sailors got their books right. And if I couldn't straighten out their books, well, then I'd have to make an adjustment. So I went to the kid and I said, it's simple. Next week, you come back here with the money. It was supposed to be that simple. But a week goes by, the kid doesn't show up. So I got pissed off. Because he's supposed to come to me. Now I have to go look for him, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. He's supposed to come to me. So that really pissed me off. Well, I knew he also had a job as a waiter in one of those fancy restaurants in Bel Air, so I went to looking for him, and as I was approaching the restaurant, I saw him coming out carrying a purse. I thought that was a little odd, but I thought, oh, maybe he's got some money in there, so I follow him. And he walks into one of those swanky, gated apartment complexes. And I followed him in. And he's standing in the back, holding a purse. So I go up to him, I said, hey kid, what happened? You were supposed to come to me with the money. You didn't show up. Well, he immediately started bullshitting about some big deal he was working on, and he'd have the money in a couple of days. And I said, no, kid, that's not how it works. Today's the day you're supposed to have the money. And if you don't have the money, then I have to make an adjustment. Well, he starts yelling, and he takes a swing at me. Well, I react. I take out my knife and I cut him across the chest. Now he's bleeding, but it ain't fatal. But he's screaming, you stabbed me, you stabbed me. And I tell him, I said, no kid, I didn't stab you. That's a stab. So I stabbed him, so he'd know the difference. Well, that made him pause. And I could tell he was contemplating his next move. But he came to the wrong conclusion, and he takes another swing at me. So I stabbed him, and he went down. And usually that's it. I usually just go. But before I could turn around, I heard this voice behind me. Someone saying, oh, you got my purse. And I turn around, there's this beautiful woman standing there. She sees me holding the knife and the blood and the kid on the ground, and I could tell she wanted to scream. Her mouth was open, but nothing was coming out. It was like it got stuck in her throat. Well, I couldn't let her stand there, so I had to put her down. And that's where it got all messed up in my head. Because she wasn't the job. The kid was the job. And now this beautiful woman had to die because of something stupid the kid did. Well, I got out of there and held up my apartment for a couple of weeks. And that's when I started the heavy drinking. But I happened to see on the news that the cops were going to finger the job on the woman's ex-husband, some ex-football player. And I start thinking to myself, well, maybe I could help the cops out. I still had the gloves from the other night. So I found out where the ex-football player lived, and I went and drove into an alley behind his house, but it was dark and I got all turned around and I wasn't sure what house was his. So I threw one glove in one backyard and another glove in another backyard, and apparently that was enough because he did go to court, but he got off. If it don't fit, you have to acquit. Just ridiculous. But after that, the cops, they gave up. They stopped looking, and you would think, okay, it's over, the pressure's off. But I just couldn't get it correct in my head that beautiful woman lying on the ground. And I just kept drinking. Eventually, my boss told me he couldn't depend on me anymore, and I understood, and I left. And just kind of bummed around for a little while until one night I see the sign outside, and free coffee and donuts. I figured, what the hell, I'll go in. And I've been coming here for a while, and I've been seeing, you guys, you come in here and you're all bent over and you're shuffling in. But the ones that get up here and talk, you all seem to leave a little bit straighter. And I want to thank you all for listening to me and having me tell some of this story. I do feel a little better. And I think with a little bit more support, I may be able to straighten all this out. And, next time maybe I'll tell you about Hoffa. Thank you.